Good morning-ish. We're in Dover and we're about to head off on a bit of a European road trip. Now, those of you who know me, that I love nothing more than to drive across Europe, ideally in something Italian, which is what I'm going to do. Now, it's the middle of 2020. We are halfway through, or who knows how far in, to the coronavirus pandemic, which put all of our lives on hold. And has caused all sorts of problems throughout the world. A lot of people have died from it. A lot of people have got very sick. So I'm fortunate enough for that not to be the case, and moaning about fairly trivial things like being able to go on holiday. But there we go. That's what first world problems and all that. So anyway, I'm about to head off. We're catching a ferry at 5 a.m. And I'm taking my Maserati Gransport with me. So those of you who know me, I know I'm a bit of an Italian car fanboy. I like Alfa Romeo and Maseratis. I probably would like Ferraris, but I can't afford one. This is my Gransport. I've had every version of the Maserati coupe, the 3200, the 4200, and now the Gransport. And this is the first trip that I've done in this car, so it'd be good to get to know it. The Gransport's noticeably different from the previous generations of car. It's more like a 4200 than a 3200. It has the same fundamental engine and gearbox, the Cambio Corsa transaxle, but the software's been tweaked a little bit. The gear change is a bit smoother in the soft mode and a bit more ferocious in sport mode. Overall, it's a bit better, but I'll talk to you a bit more detail on that when we get rolling. Loading up at the ferry at 4 a.m. Finally underway on our trip. This year's felt like a long one. Yeah, can't believe we're actually on the ferry heading over to France. Day 2 from Spain. Yesterday I didn't get too much video as we're going along. We were cruising through France and wasn't really ideal to be taking lots of videos. People weren't great at social distancing. We were going to stop overnight in France, but we just thought probably not best. So yeah, we cruised on straight through to Spain. So yesterday we ended up doing 845 miles, pretty much only stopping for fuel in the Maserati, which was excellent, actually, surprisingly good. No num bum, the seats are brilliant. We averaged, surprisingly, 24 miles per gallon, which I was absolutely not expecting on the drive down, which meant we filled up in England, somewhere through mid-ish France, and then again sort of towards the south of France, and I've now got half a tank of fuel left, which I'm really impressed by. A bit messy because we've just done 800 miles in the car, but on the inside the Gransport is really different from the 4200. So these seats, it's got proper bucket seats. They're a lot better than the previous ones, very comfortable. 845 miles yesterday, about 12 hours, no num bum, no agitation. My wife even commented on how comfortable she was, and she'd never experienced that before for that kind of level of time. That's really good. You get this piping, this technical fabric, which I know at the time when it came out raised a lot of eyebrows. The gauges are slightly different colour and design to the 4200, but I think again the face is the same. You get carbon fibre on the centre console, on there as well, with all the cups and everything. So there we go. There's the Ferrari derived Maserati engine. I'm not going to say, like a lot of other people do, that it's a Ferrari 430 engine, because it isn't. The block casting I think is shared, but the rest of it is pretty much bespoke to this car and not the Ferrari 430. The intake on the Ferrari 430 is different. It's got variable valve timing, I think high lift cams, variable inlet geometry. It's got a flat plane crank, whereas this is a cross plane crank. That's a 4.3 litre, this is a 4.2. I think this is more closely related to the engine in the Ferrari California. Now, the boot on the car is not that good for a GT car. Apologise for the state of it. I've been driving all day and it's full of holiday stuff. I'll take that back out. You can see the boot itself is not that deep. You can get a bit in there, but not a lot. And the main reason for this car has a transaxle, so the gearbox is actually at the rear of the car, which is good for weight distribution, but not so good for packaging. So the gearbox is kind of where the fuel tank is in a lot of cars. So the fuel tank is between here and the rear seats. You can see the fuel filler neck there, just on the side of the car. So there's that huge space there, which usually have the boot, is where the fuel tank is. And it's a big fuel tank, which I appreciate because we can have some serious range in this car. But it does reduce the boot space somewhat. It was a bit of a shame for a car that's a very usable four-seater, because, you know, if the boot was that bit bigger, with the rear seats you've got, you could genuinely tour with 4 people in it. And that's really the only restriction to the car, is that if you want to tour, do some serious distances and bring some luggage with you, really you need to use the rear seats for luggage space, which means you can't take people with you. That's the only shame of it. But when you are here, if your friends want to fly out, you can pick them up from the airport, they can sit in the back, and yeah, it's really comfortable even for adults. So we're in the town of Palamos today. We drove straight through France yesterday. We're going to have probably a week here in Spain, and then we might journey over to Italy. We're in very northern Spain. I think it's a very, yeah, it's a picturesque region. It's not too built up. I know you can see a lot of buildings here, but I'll show you some videos of some of the other areas around here, and yeah, it's pretty spectacular. That's the country, never been on a sunbed on the beach with no one in front of us. Found a bit of country back road to give the mouth a bit of a try in Spain. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cyclists down about. Courteous of them coming up here. Hopefully, this gives you a bit of an idea of what the Maserati Gransport is like. So, in sport mode, you get more exhaust noise, faster gearbox reaction, loops on the downshifts, stiffer steering, firm suspension, better throttle response. So yeah, it takes it up a notch. It's nice to be able to turn that off around town, so you don't wake up and every time you change down gear, it does the whips, whether it's in manual mode or in auto. Likewise, your friend bit of credibility when you say this is actually a decent car. I hope. After all, it is only my opinion, and I'm not exactly a racing driver. Through town, they're by no means great. The gearbox is a bit clunky. It's a very large car. Turning circle's not great, so parking it in some of these Spanish car parks has been fun. It's been designed to look nice rather than for the practicality of use. So yeah, it has its downsides. But as I don't use it as an everyday car, I'm willing to sacrifice all of that. Morning, this is our last morning in Spain. Just heading down to where we parked the car overnight, so we can get packed up and head over to Italy, which should be quite a good journey. You'll notice the mask. It's an essential here if you're walking down the street. Probably not at this time of the morning so much, but generally that's the case. So I'll give you a bit of an update as we're en route. Last views of Palamos before we leave Spain. Beautiful morning. It's absolutely stunning here. Gonna miss it a lot. It's the car's hiding place overnight. About 500-600 miles to do today, so that'll be fun. last night in Como before we start heading back home across Switzerland and France, back to the UK at the end of our road trip. Been a real good one and a good reset to 2020, which by all accounts has been a pretty crap year. Good morning, it's our last morning in Italy. We're about to get in the car and drive home. It's a bit drizzly, it's been raining a little bit. I've just managed to dodge the rain to pack the car, which is good. Just need to do a few little checks before we set off, but yeah, time to head home. We're going to go across Switzerland on the way home. We're going to try and pick up some of the Alpine passes. So we're going to head over to San Gottardo, and then probably Furka, and then maybe the Grimsel Pass across up towards the Black Forest, where we're going to stop overnight. So we'll take you on the journey and see how we get on. Just need to check the oil level in the Maserati, and it's a dry sump engine, so you have to do this with the engine running, much to the annoyance of the residents of this hotel, I'm sure. Shell Helix in there now, and now we're good to go. Farewell Lake Como, for another year anyway. Top of the very scenic, apparently, Maserati Gransport. Sadly, it's not been a thrilling drive. The weather was so bad, we avoided all the other passes, and we've just sneaked on this one as it's kind of direct on the route. I figured there's no point going out of our way to drive the mountain passes when the weather has been as bad as it has. But there we go. We've had good weather for the rest of the trip, so I can't complain too much. Finally found some Black Forest Gatto in the Black Forest.